If you've been putting in the work over the past year with little or nothing to show for it, then the next few weeks could be the breakthrough that you've been waiting for, because Jupiter and Saturn are forming one of the most supportive alignments that we can experience. It's a trine, and it's opening doors to tangible progress, stability, and long-term growth. These two planets only form this harmonious connection twice every 20 years. And from late October through to about mid-December, this energy is especially tight, meaning that cooperation between expansion and discipline is really, really strong. A trine occurs when two planets are roughly about 120 degrees apart. So in plain terms, it represents harmony and flow. Their energies are working together rather than pulling in opposite directions. So it doesn't mean that things just fall into place into your lap. You still need to engage with the energy, but there's a lot more ease and less resistance and a sense of momentum through your efforts. So what's a trine? A trine occurs when we have two planets that are roughly 120 degrees apart. So here we have Jupiter in Cancer and we have Saturn in Pisces, and they're 120 degrees apart. So in plain terms, it represents an aspect of harmony and flow. Their energies are working together rather than pulling in opposite directions. It doesn't mean that things just fall into your lap. You still need to engage with this energy, but there's more ease, less resistance, and a sense of momentum through your efforts. So here we have Jupiter, which is the planet of growth, opportunity, wisdom, and abundance. And it's working hand in hand with Saturn, which is planet of structure, responsibility, and mastery. So together, they help us turn our ideas into reality. Jupiter inspires the big vision, while Saturn brings the discipline and the follow through. And this is why this alignment is often associated with professional success, wise decisions, and solid achievements that actually stick. Now let's look at the signs involved. So we have Saturn in the sign of Pisces, while Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer. Both of these are water signs. So this trine operates through emotional intelligence, compassion, and intuition. It's less about pushing forcefully forward or hustling, and more about aligning with what feels right and trusting in the timing. So you might find yourself drawn to work that feels more meaningful rather than merely productive, or to relationships and environments that nurture your emotional well-being. So this is a time when your efforts finally start to bear fruit. Projects that you started months ago could now finally begin to move forward and show results. There can be greater clarity and confidence in your decision making. So Saturn is providing the discernment and Jupiter is offering the opportunity. The key is balance, so being wise and steady and intentional while still saying yes to opportunities and expansion. But do remember, even though trines bring flow, they still require action. So really be intentional about using this energy to your benefit. And if you want to know how you can do this, look to see which area of your chart is occupied by these signs, by Pisces and by Cancer. And if you don't know how to do that, I have a free guide showing you exactly how to do this that you can download from my website, or the link is in the description box below. Now, there's something else happening over the coming weeks that is really magnifying this energy, and it expands into what we called a Grand Water Trine, as you can see in this chart. So this happens whenever we have planets that are moving through the sign of Scorpio, which is also a water sign, anywhere between 24 to 26 degrees. Because Jupiter is currently at 25 degrees, it's going to go back to 24, and Saturn is at 25. So that means that they're connecting with Saturn and Jupiter. So each of these dates carries extra potential for manifestation, intuition, and creativity. So do note these down or take a screenshot. So we've already had Mercury that went through 25 and 26 degrees of Scorpio on October the 26th. And then on the 29th of October, we had Mars that also passed at 25 degrees of Scorpio. Now, the next activation that we're going to have is going to be on the 18th of November. And this is the chart that I'm showing here, because we're going to have the sun at 25 degrees of Scorpio forming this beautiful grand water trine to Jupiter at 25 degrees Cancer and Saturn at 25 degrees of Pisces. And remember, the sun is connected to our sense of purpose, what makes us feel fulfilled and successful, and our soul's expression of physical purpose in reality. Then on the 20th November, we're going to have a new moon at 28 degrees of Scorpio. So the moon is going to be at this position just here. So that's going to be another activation, and I'll do a separate video for that at that time. Then what we're going to have is Mercury is retrograding back into the sign of Scorpio. So on the 23rd of November, we're going to have Mercury at about 24 degrees of Scorpio. And then I'm going to skip forward here to show you what's going to happen. When it moves forward in the sky on the 7th or 8th of December, Mercury is going to come back to this point and again forming this grand water trine at about 24, 25 degrees of Scorpio. So we're still going to get additional hits of Mercury creating this grand water trine. And then on the 27th of November, Venus is also going to be at 25 degrees of Scorpio. So think of each of these activations as windows where intuition and opportunity align. You may feel more supported or emotionally at ease, or able to release old blocks that once kept you stuck. So this is pretty special and rare energy. So if you want to know how you can specifically engage with this energy and take advantage of it, do get in touch to book a reading, because we can see which houses these signs occupy and how they are activating your chart specifically. Now, the larger story here is one of stability. We've come through the restrictive energy of the Jupiter-Saturn that were in square with each other earlier this year. So that brought challenge, frustration, delays, maybe even reality checks. But now, as they trine each other, the gears finally click into place and flow returns, and we can start to see progress. Now, here's where consciousness plays a key role, because this same transit can feel very different depending on your inner state of being. If you've been operating from anxiety, doubt, or frustration, Saturn's lessons might feel like limitation. But if you're grounded in self-trust and open to growth, that same Saturn energy turns into structure, support, and mastery. And even from a positive psychology lens, this is about cultivating a mindset of agency where you have control over your circumstances, and optimism, believing that your actions influence your outcomes. And when you combine that with the Jupiter principle of faith and possibility and align energetically with opportunity, that is where you see things happen. Quantum physics also echoes this. It says what you put out vibrationally shapes what you attract and what you notice. So if you can stabilize your inner frequency through consistent action, emotional regulation, and clear intention, you're more likely to get the most out of this period of flow. So do enjoy it. I really encourage you to harness this energy, because the seeds that you plant now can grow into something long-lasting and really beautiful. And finally, one other point that I wanted to make, if you don't know, I also happen to be a jewelry designer, and I'm going to be launching my new one of a collection very soon. I hope that you can see this piece as an example. So please do head over to shikazuri.com. And if you want to know when that's going to happen, sign up to my newsletter so that you can be the first one to know.